Oh my god, I'm a potato. Oh my god, wrong stream. Wrong screen. Oh my god, wrong screen. Wrong screen. Rip. There it is. There it is.
Excuse me, I'm the only one that's a potato here. Excuse me.
Let's get rid of that echo. Sorry about that. All right, technical difficulties to start today, but you know what? Nobody would know them better than the two people that you're looking at, along with every other streamer in the universe. Technical difficulties just come with the territory.
It's all part of it. All part of it.
For those of you watching, I am Ballin. This is Ballin's Got Game, and today we are interviewing one of at least the better esports casters that I've personally seen. The way he does commentary is fantastic, and we're going to dig into it today. Ladies and gentlemen, IMPERIUM.
Yeah. It is an honor overall to be here, to be perfectly honest. I'm not used to being on the end of being asked questions or talking about myself. I'm normally talking about players and stuff like that, so this is a little bit different, but hey, excited to share some stories and have a chat and talk about my casting career, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's definitely an interesting career path for anybody. A lot of players, in the esports world, they're just so thankful to be able to play a video game, and make it a career. And it's tough to do that. But then you look at it from a completely other side. These people playing these video games are giving other people careers that they've always dreamed of. And in your case, and starting to be my case, is casting. Let's just start at the beginning. How'd you get into casting? Your story?
Okay, so I always try to be TDLR or TRDL. I started gaming mobile gaming back in around 2015, the end of 2015.
What were you playing back then?
A game called Vainglory. It's like a mobile MOBA. It's very much like League of Legends, only very, very graphically advanced, in fairness, for a mobile game, and absolutely incredible. And it was very popular back then. It was considerably popular. So I started getting into that game, and I started becoming more involved in the community, as you do when you're interested in gaming. And I was in what we call clans, which is like, PUBG Mobile clans or crews, so to speak. And they were doing a European tournament, community tournament, with various other teams and stuff like that. And they were looking for a second caster. And I said to them, look, I know a bit about the game by now. I'll give it a shot. And I was casting with somebody who had a decent bit of experience casting. And although I'm sure I was absolutely trash back then, I think I did an okay job. I got told I did an okay job, and I absolutely loved it. That's awesome. That's kind of where it all started. That's where it all began.
Yeah, that first cast that anybody does as a caster, that first one, you don't really know what you're doing. You're kind of just, okay, I know about this game, and I can put my little spin on it, but you're also trying not to step on the other person's toes if you're doing it with someone.
Tell me about it.
It's the hardest thing as a caster, a commentator, because you think about the sports world. You see these guys professionally do it on television, broadcasted to millions of people. And it's amazing how they can get through that and not be stepping on each other's toes, messing up, this and that, whatever it may be. When you're doing it on, I think in the esports world, at least so far, it hasn't gotten to that level of professionalism, but I think it's still kind of raw in the world of what people want to watch, for entertainment.
Yeah, and at least for me, from a casting point of view, I couldn't have asked for an overall better type of game to get involved with from a casting point of view. The reason why is because with it being a MOBA, there's not so much downtime compared to a game like PUBG Mobile. it's very kind of you can have a team fight within literally like 30 seconds of the game starting as soon as like the minions spawn, if anybody knows about League of Legends. So and it's also quite a technical game, so it gave me that technical knowledge, not technical knowledge, but a way to articulate technical stuff in a non-technical way.
That's so, there's a fine line, a very fine line. Yeah,
100%. So I couldn't have asked for a better game, and from there I found I liked it. I got a couple of kind of like opportunities in community casting, and I found I wanted to do more. I wanted to cast more. So from there, it was all about the grind.
Oh yeah,
literally the grind.
So were you a streamer before a caster? No. Okay.
No, that's the thing. I wasn't really into, let's say, streaming. I wasn't really into like video making I just loved gaming, and I loved this game specifically. It was my passion. I played it every day. I was heavily involved in it. And that's where it came from. It wasn't anything of streaming related. And I just wanted to cast, and I just wanted to learn and grow and be part of the community in a bigger way. And that, casting was part of that.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially for someone. Okay, so for me, I got into streaming before I got into casting, and I would say honestly, I got into streaming before I really even got into gaming. And I did a podcast for a flag football league. I went from there to commentating flag football games.
Cool.
My brother-in-law, my partner, through all of that, decided, hey, let's do a live stream on PUBG Mobile since we play it all the time. And we said, why not? We started this huge clan, and I just kind of fell into it. And it sounds like you fell into an opportunity that has really, you've turned it into a career now, right?
Now, yeah, but that grind was harsh. Along the way, you also, don't get me wrong, I've been insanely lucky to have a multitude of support and people and areas to go to from a support point of view, and healthy criticism.
Right.
110%. But there is also that level of insecurity of putting your voice out there and broadcast.
Right.
People turn around and saying, you sound stupid, or you don't know what you're talking about. And there's a lot of little stories there, but overall it was always about the grind. Any community event I could do, I would do.
What was the starting off? What was like the most? Because you don't just cast one game. You cast a multitude of things.
No, mainly it was just that one game.
Well, no, but now, right?
Oh, now, yeah. Now so, I will cast anything.
So starting out, after you kind of got past that first game, your first love of a game, and you got past that into looking at other games, what was probably the most obscure game or obscure tournament that you casted?
To be perfectly honest, the most obscure game and tournament I've casted was one that I did recently, which was Connect 4, which I did for charity. I along with, there's an Australian caster friend of mine who put a tweet out about doing an Australian charity event. It was like 9 hours in total of a Connect 4 tournament.
That's fantastic.
And looking for some kind of casters, and I said, yeah, look, I'll do it. It's for charity. It's something fun.
Yeah.
It's Connect 4. And that was hilariously awesome and different and obscure, because not only is it the fact that it's Connect 4, right? And you think, well, it's Connect 4, how technical can it be?
You'd be surprised.
Is it, well, one, it was surprising, but two, isn't that kind of our jobs to, as casters, that's my job as a caster, is to in some way bring to life, or bring a more layers and a bigger life to what I'm casting. Otherwise 100%. I'm not really doing my job. So, don't get me wrong, we had conversations and we made up stories of the history of Connect 4 esports and Connect 4 sports, because there was like 6 or 8 of us in total, and during broadcast there was a minimum of like 4 of us casting, which in itself was a challenge because we were trying not to talk over each other.
Yep.
But yeah, doing Connect 4, that was like the most obscure thing. So that wasn't even early on in my career. That's like, later on. I can only imagine how crazy it would have been if I had have done it early on in my career, because I wouldn't know how to handle that.
Right.
So kind of like going back to when I was doing Vainglory, when I was doing community casting, like I said, it was all about grind, because I casted at 10 a.m. in the morning, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, 2 a.m. in the morning. I would do a 10, 11-hour shift at work, and I would come home and I cast for 4 hours.
It's tough.
I casted walking home from work. I cast on the
Wait. Let's go back to that one. You casted while walking home from work. So
yep.
First of all, how did you do that? And second of all, how did that cast go? Was it a train wreck, or was it successful?
Overall, it was successful, and the way it simply worked was I had Discord open on my phone, I had the app open at the same time, and I had Vainglory open at the same time. Whoa. And I was casting on the way home from work. Obviously, there was some background noise, but because it was late at night, it was like past midnight.
Wow.
Yeah, and I casted on the bus home from work as well. That had its challenges because
you had to be quiet, right? You could be yelling on the bus.
Yeah, I tried to keep the noise down, but yeah, there was even a point where there was a guy who noticed what I was doing in terms of actually knowing what it was, and he filmed me, and we had a brief chat as I was getting off the bus, and he actually found me on Twitter, and he put the clip up on the video up on Twitter of me casting on the bus.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And as it happens, he's the owner of an esports org in Ireland.
See, now that right there, you would never see the quintessential owner of an esports org on a bus in the US. No. It just wouldn't happen here. So that part of it in itself is kind of mind-boggling, especially for someone like me from, being from here. It's like, what is he doing on the bus? But that's more accepted in Ireland, I'm assuming, like as far as using that public transportation.
Oh yeah. Public transportation in Ireland is a pretty huge aspect, because don't get me wrong, our roads are pretty damn good now, but there was obviously, with us having a lot of small villages, and we're not even that big of a country, obviously,
right?
We're tiny, but yeah, public transport is overall a big aspect. You
just can't even imagine that.
Yeah, obviously, because you have hundreds of kilometers of highways that are, with desert lands in between, right? And it's that stereotypical highway that goes from one state to another, that is that has nothing around it, kind of thing.
Let me ask you this, because I was actually just looking at it. What's your experience been in the streaming community as a caster? Like you said, you didn't start out streaming, so what have you found to be some of the more interesting aspects of being somebody new to the streaming world but coming in as a caster?
I would like to think that it's given me a bit of an advantage. I don't want to say that in the way of, because obviously I'm careful of how I say things and how they can be construed.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I come from a casting background. It doesn't matter if I come from a toilet cleaning background. It doesn't matter what background anybody comes from, right? If they're not entertaining on stream to their audience, they're not going to have an audience, or their audience is in some way dictated by how entertaining they are.
It's true.
In some way. When I say it's been an advantage in terms of obviously coming from casting and in some way being known and being known as an entertaining guy or as a guy that has a voice that is able to spark
bring life,
yeah, whatever you want to call it. In some way, that has helped me when it comes to streaming. When I kind of got into streaming recently, it was to do with, let's say, doing scrims, and that's great, and casting scrims, because it really helped me prepare for the European PMCO. And a huge shout out on a side note to the Pro EU scrims and Aura for allowing me and wanting me to do those. So and that was great because obviously that gave me a lot of practice, and that helped kind of raise my name in some way, shape, or form. But otherwise, from playing the game, that's I'm just a normal streamer, right? It doesn't matter if I'm a caster, because if I'm playing the game, I'm playing the game. And that really that doesn't change. Like I said,
how often now do you just stream to play the game?
Right now, more often now, as in like I did it today, I did it a couple of days ago. Because the reason why is because I have been quite busy with casting recently, and I'm always conscious of my voice and conscious of making sure that I'm not putting under too much strain and I'm giving it enough time to rest. And plus, I like playing the game. I play the game a lot, so why not stream it a bit? So I want to find that balance, right? And I will be doing stuff in the future of like streaming and casting, but for now, I kind of wanted to dip my toe in streaming and playing and see how that went on, see how much I enjoyed it as well, and just kind of go from there. Like I said, being a caster, streaming doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter because they're two completely different things.
True, absolutely. Speaking of Imperium stream, just below him you will see his Twitch link, twitch.tv/Imperium_1, as well as his Twitter handle at EVT_Imperium on Twitter. And then, of course, mine's down that way, but don't worry about mine. Most of you that are watching this probably already follow me anyways, and if you don't, welcome. I'm Ballin. This is Ballin's Got Game. We're just chatting about casting, and he started to break into the PUBG. Hey, Daddy hit. Thank you for the follow. If you are watching and you haven't hit the follow button, make sure you do that. But you just started to get and break into the side of things that obviously turned me on to you, and most of my followers that know you is PUBG Mobile. And let's get into that. So PUBG Mobile came out in 2018, I think it was 2018, and
February 2018.
I think I started playing it in March of 2018. So I've been in it the whole time. When did you come into this game, and how did that journey begin? At least let's start there.
I came into the game as a caster, to be perfectly honest. So when I was casting Vainglory, and the whole esports aspect of Vainglory was essentially going downhill from around the middle of 2018. So I realized that at that point I was pretty sure that I, in some way, shape, or form, wanted to aim to be a professional caster, full-time caster, right? I had a mindset that I don't know if I would get it. I don't know how long it would take, but I was in the mindset of I want to be a professional caster. And I realized a big part of that would be essentially I need to cast more games. Not only because the game that I'm currently primarily associated with is downhill from an esports point of view, but also I need to get experience. And how can I get experience if I don't try other games? So August 2018, through somebody else within the Vainglory community, got me onto somebody from a guy called Eclipse, who was doing the PESL.
PSL. That was the name of the big league at the time, right?
Yes, season 1. It was the first season, and I said, hey, look, I really want to cast new games. I want to cast PUBG Mobile, and I casted pretty much the whole of season 1. That involved casting from like something like 2 a.m. till like 6 a.m.
The hours are insane for that tournament. I think you meant ESL though, right? ESL, is that what you're talking?
No.
PSL.
This is just a community tournament. This is just a community.
Oh,
thing.
community. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Continue.
This was purely a community tournament. It was called a PESL, which is I think PUBG Esports League. Okay. I think that's what it meant. And it was season 1, and I casted pretty much the whole of that. And like I said, it was NA based. So yeah, I didn't know anything about the game. I knew absolutely nothing about PUBG Mobile. Got into it as a caster. It's funny because about like 2-3 months back, whatever, I got sent clips of me casting the PESL, and my God, I was so bad. Like I was absolutely like so like trash bag.
So are we gonna see a montage of that on YouTube soon?
No.
No.
No. Like not that I'm ashamed of it, right? Because that's part of the grind. That's part of the growth. Is going through. Nobody's born good. Everybody, they might have a natural flair that needs to be honed, whatever, blah blah blah. But nobody's born good. Nobody's born great. They learn, they grow, get better. Yeah. So I did that. I casted with Hot Jukes.
Oh man, that's a conversation.
It was great fun. It was such good fun. Like it was, because Hot Jukes is nothing but energy, right? Yeah, but he also knew about the game at the time, so we complemented each other actually. And even though it was complete trash, it was energetic trash. So it was still in some way entertaining.
Yeah.
So I did that, and
I made my money early on.
Yeah, exactly. So I realized that's how I wanted to do it, and I didn't play the game much, in fairness. After I didn't, because I've never been a natural FPS guy. I've never been naturally an FPS guy. So I didn't play the game much after. I looked at it as, okay, I like the game from a casting perspective. Let's see what else I can do. And it took me a while, in fairness. And I was casting more games. I casted a couple of other games. I casted a bit of Rocket League. I even casted a tiny bit of CSGO. Okay. I casted some Fortnite Mobile as well.
Interesting. So the Fortnite Mobile, because that's like, it's trying to make a comeback and it's trying to like make itself a thing, but it seems that that portion of it, I mean, what's your experience been with Fortnite in general? Obviously, that's a big contention between Fortnite and PUBG Mobile. Obviously, I'm here because I like PUBG Mobile, but I'm curious what your thoughts are, because I could not personally get into Fortnite. That was tough for me.
Same as far as personally into Fortnite. Because I've kind of two points of view of like the toxic point of view, and then I have to kind of the common sense / profession. My toxic point of view is that it's a trash game.
It's a trash game, yes.
But that's a toxic, stupid point of view overall.
Of course.
My realistic point of view is that it is it's a game that has a target audience that is very incredibly successful.
It's huge.
As a game, and it broke the mold in a lot of ways and completely changed the gaming aspect and the gaming game and the path of gaming and the acceptability of free games. Right. And it honestly, if it wasn't for Fortnite, in my opinion, the likes of PUBG Mobile wouldn't be as successful in my eyes.
I don't even know if it'd be a thing. mean,
well, it would be a thing, but it just wouldn't, in my opinion, wouldn't be as accepted or as, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. And even though Fortnite came out on PC 1st, it's still throughout the whole gaming world, it paved the way on so many levels.
It did.
And it made it acceptable for good or bad. Either way, it made it acceptable for games to be free and for gamers to access a game with less costs initially.
Right.
Anyway, but from an esports aspect, the worst thing Fortnite did, for at least from Fortnite Mobile, is actually put it in with console and PC gamers.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing they did. It's needs horrible. To be separate. It needs to be a separate
category.
Not platform, but category needs to be separate separation, because it needs to.
It's a different game.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
It's a different game. But from Fortnite, from an esports aspect, in my opinion, it's not an esport at the moment.
Right.
The reason why is because it hasn't, other than its actual world championship, every aspect of leading up to that, it was never any official broadcast. There was never any proper, let's say, season or path from an esports point of view. Therefore, I don't consider it as an esport yet. Yeah, okay, it gave 3 million in prize pool money. Great. That doesn't mean it's an esport in my eyes. Now, does it make it an esport because it's a competitive video game that has competitive players?
Yes.
Yeah, but I recognize that. This is my opinion, right? But my opinion is that it's not an esport at the moment.
Do you think that it's because Fortnite has less of a team aspect than like a PUBG Mobile or a CS:GO?
Ooh, that's a really I never really thought about that, but yeah, now that you mention it, yes, Fortnite is
much more of a solo player game.
Yeah, but it's more of a solo player game. Yeah, that's a really good point of view. But then again,
didn't mean to throw that one on you, but I mean, at least from my point of view, the general population, right? People that don't even watch video games, they don't watch esports, they don't really know anything about esports. Most of them know about sports, and most of the sports that are the center of attention for sports in the world is more than not a team sport, whether it's hockey, whether it's basketball, soccer, whatever it is, it's a team sport. Now you have the tennises and the golfs and the bowlings and the whatever you want to, if you want to add those things in, that's fine, but they don't have that same type of gravitas and same type of backing that a team sports does, because team sports, it creates drama. You want to root for your team because you're not necessarily good enough to play for that team.
Yeah.
And so same with esports, you look at Fortnite, like you said, much more of a solo game. And then you look at a PUBG Mobile or a Warzone or, whatever it may be.
Legends or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Anything that has a team aspect, because people want to feel a part of a community. They want to feel a sense of we fucking did it,
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's at least my take on it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good element. The other element at the end of the day is, like I kind of mentioned, the target audience and the age group of Fortnite is like 6-7 years old, right? Don't get me wrong, the target audience for PUBG Mobile is like 12-13, right? But 12-13 and older, but that's still an accessible age from an esports point of view. More accessible, whereas 6-7-year-olds, they just see the colors and they see the PPV and they kind of go, and they want to play that. They have no grasp. They have no idea what an actual esport is. They don't have a clue.
Right.
So I think that's also part of the reason why it's not really, in my eyes, considered an esport. And also it makes sense as to why, if Epic haven't in any way invested in an actual esports infrastructure, right? Because that's a key word, infrastructure. You can have a tournament, you can have one-off tournaments, you can have like Fortnite Fridays, whatever you want to call it. That's great, because that is aiding, that's aiding the content creators,
right,
who are good at the game, which play the game, which of course aids the younger audience watching those content creators playing the game themselves, buying the skins, It's a beautiful, beautiful circle.
You just said it. You just said
money.
skins. You just said skins.
Yeah.
So I want to get into that real quick. What is your opinion? Because PUBG Mobile, when it started, it was, and one of the reasons I liked it so much versus Fortnite was because it was more realistic.
Fair.
Now, which I get why, because you got to make money as a company like Tencent. You have to make money. So what better way to do it than to, you know, take the Fortnite model with the skins? Do you think they've taken those skins too far?
Nah.
No.
Not at all, because the game in itself established itself from a more realistic / serious standpoint before it went down the city skins route.
Right.
You know, so it established itself, and then it can in some way target itself, or create skins / cosmetics that complement let's have a little bit of fun and a bit of personality.
Yeah.
Doesn't take away from the game at all. Plus, never once in my life have I looked at a team and a skin that they might be using on their car or their player and taking them in any way less seriously. That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, that's definitely true. If you see, if you see unicorns of love driving at you in a a clown car, you're still going to be scared.
It's like, hell, I'm going to compliment that car. I'm still going to, if anything, because that's a sign of their personality, right?
Right.
But that if they're still able to frag out, if they're able to still play the game, it doesn't matter to me, right?
Yeah.
And trust me, I'm the first to try and protect the competitive integrity of the game, but skins doesn't matter to me at all.
Okay.
I'm all for it.
You know what? I don't necessarily have an opinion myself. I don't think that I like some of the skins. I like the one that I have on right now with my character. Yeah. I have a fake mustache on my girl character. Like, it's cool. I enjoy it.
Exactly.
I try not to spend a ton of money on it myself personally, but that's just me. Some people enjoy it, and that's what they do, and I can't knock them for that.
Well, see, you kind of, you mentioned like a mustache on a female character. Like, you think back of what you did when you were 6-7 years old. You go through the paper and you see somebody, you draw a mustache on it.
Yeah.
Or you put like a little battle scar on it, or you put an earring on the person on the paper's ring.
Right.
It's the same principle. It's having a bit of fun. It's adding that personality. Is the system around skins
flawed?
I will, yes, and I will be.
Do you think? Do you
okay.
Just before you say that next thought? Let me just throw this in there as a secondary question. Do you think that when you say flawed, do you mean sometimes it takes $500 to get a skin that you want?
There needs to be two options. There needs to be as much of a crate opening chance as there is as just purchasing a skin outright. Mm-hmm. That's a flaw. I understand that that money makes the world go round, and I understand that if it wasn't for this system that there is in place, there's a higher chance I wouldn't have a job right now, right?
Sure, yeah.
So it would be a little bit hypocritical of me to turn around and say it's terrible, blah blah blah. That's why I say it's flawed, and that's why I said that if I had a choice and if I could, which I can't,
but neither of us, right? Yep.
None of us do. If I would give way more options of somebody spending €25 on 3 skins or 7 euro on 1 skin, or etc.
Right.
Or spend €1 on a chest or whatever the ratio is, because there is a certain level of the whole, am I gonna get a skin? That's great, I get that.
Oh yeah, I obviously people want that, like the gambling feel when they do the crates.
It's it's a psychology of it. Now, the thing that frustrates me the most about this system is that, and this is going to sound controversial, but I'll put it out there. In my opinion, and this is my opinion and my own, and I do not. People do what they want to do. In my opinion, crate opening videos is the lowest form of content creation. It's the lowest form of content creation.
I can agree with it. I can agree with why you would say that. And I personally have never done a crate opening video. I don't do YouTube videos yet. That's not my thing. I haven't gotten to that realm yet. Maybe one day. I do know how to make videos myself. Like I just don't want to take the time to edit things. It's a very long process. But yeah. I can agree with what you're saying and why, because it's literally it's one of the easiest things to just go in and do, and it's gonna create its own content for you, basically.
Yeah, and look, I understand that. And here's the thing, right? Like I said, if it wasn't for the system that's in place, I wouldn't have a job as a caster, right? Mm-hmm. In theory. And I also understand that content creators, the game's a game. It's a game. At its core, the game is a shooting game. So as a content creator, it's you create content around the shooting aspect of the game, whether it's snipes, whether it's rotations, whether it's around about the game. Only having a video and marketing that video as, oh my god, you never believe what skin I got in this crate, and spending 10-12 minutes opening crate after crate. What is that? Like, what is that? What really is that?
It's true.
What is that?
Yeah, it's suspense. People love drama, right? And so you have these videos of these people doing this, but you have hundreds of thousands of people watching them because it's like, oh my god, what did he get? In all reality, when it comes to the game itself, who cares? Who cares what he got?
Yeah, exactly. And look, that's all I'll kind of say about it, because I could go down another road. I could go down another rabbit hole that would probably be laced with me being hypocritical about it, right? Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I'm aware that I'm one word away from being an outright hypocrite. I'm one word away from being, contradicting myself. I'm totally aware of that. 110%.
Gotta walk that fence.
Yeah. So, but that's look, that it is what it is. I can't control it. People do what they want to do, and that's fine by me.
Let's transition into before we both say something that could get us in trouble. Let's transition into another controversial subject. Yay. NA versus EU comp level PUBG Mobile. I want to know your takes, because there has been conversation that I have heard, I have watched, I have seen, I have casted for, not maybe tier 1 level. I'm not that big of a caster yet. I hope to one day aspire to be there. However, I've watched and I've learned a lot. I've casted T2 EU scrims, and in my opinion, I think that the T2 talent that I've seen, or at least the level of competition that I've seen in EU, is better than in NA. So I'm probably going to get myself in trouble with my own fan base, but who cares? But what are your thoughts?
Okay. Firstly, the whole NA v EU aspect, I've been a part of right from even Vainglory days, because when Vainglory Esports was popular, it was very much NA v EU. Very much NA v EU, and NA stomped EU time and time again, bar up until kind of the very end, but whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm used to the whole NA v EU aspect. From PUBG Mobile point of view, it's an interesting one. Overall, it doesn't matter, right? Let's.
Well, we're all losing to China.
Overall, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because, and I'm the first to say, you're only as good as your last performance. On a side note,
it's true.
And I applied that to myself. But anyway, to, let's have a bit of fun. And to apply a little bit of logic to it. Okay. The biggest difference between NA and EU overall is that NA players are so much more about how good they are individually as a player. Okay.
Okay.
So there's a lot more ego to NA players in my eyes, and they're only once they get 6, 7, 8 kills in the game, or once they're satisfied that they've contributed something in the game, doesn't matter about the team result.
Okay.
You know, that's
from your experience. From your experience.
But that doesn't mean it's like that with Tier 1. I think Tier 1 NA has evolved so amazingly over the last year and a half. Okay. Like EU.
Yeah.
To the point where you have some absolutely phenomenal teams out there. And teams that play as teams, and so many people around the comp scene have been an integral part of that. I look at the likes of Zute as a prime example of him, who has, in my eyes, been a huge influence to how the comp scene has evolved as a mindset, plus as players. I look at the likes of even Caitlyn. Caitlyn is a huge part of that, and you know, because she's Nigel, that's come from a team, Jovi, who is kind of come from kind of unknowns, and
oh, Skype just downed. 1 second, guys.
Hello.
Hey, 1 second, okay?
No problemo.
Like we said at the very beginning of the call, technical difficulties, the life of a streamer. I'm gonna write a book.
Tell me about
it. Go on. You were talking about Jovi and Caitlyn and coming from that realm.
Yeah. So that's kind of the NA scene has evolved tremendously over the last year and a half, where teams are very much improving as teams and being a lot more intelligent with how they play the game and how they understand the game. That's from a Tier 1 aspect. Tier 2, Tier 3 is still, I think, more heavily about themselves as players and about you know, egotistical solo players, and in some way there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because we all want to feel like we're contributing to ourselves, and we all want to feel like we're proving something to ourselves. But when you're talking about a team game that you literally, you know, you can't get anywhere in the game without having good teammates around you.
It's true.
Then it's as simple as that. EU isn't. I think EU has kind of slightly gone in the. I wouldn't say gone in the opposite direction. Okay, so the thing that makes EU different, right, is the fact that you got different language barriers, right?
Yeah.
So you know, even though EU is a region, it's split up, right? Because you got CIS, you got MENA, you got EU, and then within EU you've got you know, you got French, German, Spanish. Now, you know, obviously within that, English is a well-spoken language amongst Europe, so that does, you know, shift that barrier, right? I think EU has gone in the opposite direction, but actually kind of in a good way. I think EU was very much about being team-orientated, but in a passive light, in a very passive light. So it's kind of like, oh, you know, we're not going to do that well, so let's play like super passively. Let's, you know, play for the late game, etc. Whereas over the last year and a half, I think there's been a lot of aggression added to the EU gameplay, from a Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 aspect.
I noticed it, at least myself. I noticed it when I casted for you guys.
Where teams have a bit more aggression about how they play the game, and you have individual players that really show up. And that is, of course, heavily influenced by, in my eyes, by the CIS region. The CIS region is incredibly aggressive. Like, they just go balls to the wall. They don't really care. Like, they'll you know, they'll play for late game, don't get wrong, but they will have no problem fighting through a team rather than rotating around a team.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And that's rubbed off on EU. more increasing over the last 6, 8, 10, 12 months. And plus, at the end of the day, the success of the likes of what was the old Team Unique at the fall split in the Star Challenge, that's had a huge impact on the EU region. So NAV I'm obviously going to say EU wins.
You have to.
An EU base, but it doesn't really matter.
Right.
You know, we're all overall running behind SEA and China region, right? So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, it's. I don't know if we're as far behind as we once were. I think that it's starting to close the gap a little bit. It's definitely tough when China has the newer versions weeks or months before we do. I think that
doesn't matter.
You don't think so?
No,
you don't think that matters at all?
Nope, doesn't matter at all. They could be 2 updates ahead. They could be 5 updates behind. Doesn't matter. It's a culture thing.
Okay. Well, I've heard that from a lot of people. I've heard that it's a culture thing as far as the way that they practice, the way they prepare, the way that they take esports in general, the way that how seriously they take it.
Yes. So the way, in my opinion, again, purely my opinion, the difference is that a person will look at a game, okay, and go, I want to be an esports player for it, and will aim for that in China, whereas a player in NAEU in the Western world will look, oh, that game looks cool, let's play it as a hobby, and only go for the esports aspect if they're good.
Yeah.
No? Or if they think they're good enough. So that's the difference. So straight out, a player in the China region is looking at a game going, okay, how can I be the best? Whereas a player from EU and NA is looking at a game, okay, let's play the game, see if I'm good. And then 4, 5, 6 months down the line, they're going, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this game.
Yeah.
Is there a comp scene? So there's that automatic difference, and that shifts across the whole culture.
Yeah, that's the difference. It's a very interesting take on it, and I can't argue with it because I personally have not talked to any of these players and learned what they thought. But I think you're absolutely right. I think that the viewpoint on what a game is to them is huge and instrumental, because you're exactly right. When I picked up PUBG Mobile, I'm like, oh, what a cool game. Let me try this. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I like this game. I'm pretty decent at it. Can I compete with other people other than just the online world? Because you want to drive that competition when you think that you're good enough. Yeah,
plus the biggest aspect that hurts, I'm going to say NA more than EU, but both overall, is the financial aspect. When I say the financial aspect, I mean business and org aspect and the mindset around it. So, for example, in my opinion, give or take overall, and this goes hand in hand with the culture, but in orgs and esports orgs around China and SEA region will develop a team and will take on players and develop the players and develop a team. Whereas orgs and NAEU, it's
who's the best player?
I'm going to say more NA. No, it's more quick cash grab. So into a game while it's hot.
Yep.
Get a team. If the team succeeds, great. If the team doesn't,
scrap
we're
it.
out of that game.
Yep.
We're scrapping.
You just saw that. You just saw that with Space Station Gaming.
No.
No?
No. Okay. I will defend Space Station for that wholeheartedly, because they were in PUBG Mobile for a good year and a bit with pretty much the same roster. They had a gaming house. They looked after that team.
Oh, they looked after them, for sure. I agree with that 100%. Don't get me wrong. I was just using them as an example of a team that just, decided not to play the game anymore.
No, but I'm talking about a team that will... Typical example, and I like this org. Don't get me wrong, I like this org. I even have a jersey for it, but I would look at it as... And I'm even taking the EU team as an example. An org called Ghostskilla. They had a team in EU for PMTO that they picked up after the group stage. I believe either group stage or the semi-finals. Dropped the team after the regional finals when they didn't get through to the World League. Rather than going, okay, look, guys, didn't work out. What can we do to provide development for you as a team? What can we do to help you guys as a team?
So I think the biggest issue there, and this is just, again, we want to call it esports, right? Well, the way sports have been done for generations, at least team sports, is you have contracts in place that go a full year for the most part in every single team sport. You can drop players, sure. You can drop them at the drop of a dime or whatever it may be, but you typically see these contracts being honored for a year during that season. With esports, there's no dedicated season, right? There's no May to September is the PUBG Mobile season. So you can't sign contracts for that type of thing because they're playing for these tournaments. It's a whole different environment in itself. And so you can't just simply, say, I'm going to sign you for this tournament and this tournament. Your contract's guaranteed, and we're going to do the best that we can. They don't do that. They sign them to these contracts in basically a month-to-month type of scenario for the most part.
Here's the thing. If you're not, the way I would look at it, and that's a fair point, and we can go down that road of that's an issue with esports in a general structure, and that's an issue with some esports games, is that they don't actually look at how they, we're seeing a lot of games where they have an esports calendar year, but that's be changed on a dime, and all that jazz, blah 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 blah. Look, we can talk about that, but at the end of the day, as an organization, when you enter a game, okay, you enter a game, you gotta look at yourself in the org and say, what do we want to achieve? What do we want to leave as an org? What mark do we want to set ourselves on as an org? Not only within that game, but also as an org, right? So you got to look at it and go, okay, well, do we want an org do we want to be an org that just goes into a game, gets a quick cash grab with the team and leave? Cool, but what are you really achieving? What are you really achieving? So. Yes, the whole esports structure is that's fair, but as an org, you got to look at yourself and go, what kind of org do we want to be? Do we want to be an org that grabs, Plus, at the end of the day, like you've also got to, and look, you got to look at yourself. Okay, as an org, you're going out there looking for investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? And you got to say to that investment, this is where the money's gonna go towards. This is where the money's gonna go, this is where we're going to put our money into, and you got to show that return of investment. And yes, quick cash grabs is going to do, but when you're going to an investor and saying, without knowing everything about it, but when you're going to an investor, okay, we're looking for this amount of money that's going to be repaid back over this amount of time, okay, you got to show, and you got to say, okay, well, how is that money going to be made back, and then some over time? And being short-term in a game isn't going to give you that long-term stability or long-term result, because people will, especially when you look at orgs that I'm not even looking at the big orgs, but I'm looking at orgs that are kind of trying to be bigger, and they're trying to make a name for themselves, and that's all well and good, but you'll get a quick fan base, but as soon as you leave that game without actually developing that game or developing a team around that game, you're not going to carry on that fan base.
It's true. I mean, you see it even with streaming. Same thing. If you build up an audience in a game, you're going to lose most of that audience if you just up and switch games.
Exactly.
It can be a killer. And I've even experienced that myself, as a streamer, because one of the main reasons I wanted to come to Twitch was so that I could be a streamer and play any game I wanted to play and just have fun with it, and we'll grow as a channel. But I have definitely seen the grind that it takes to move past that when you switch games. I've now started to go back towards my roots and only play PUBG Mobile for the most part, because that's where I've built up my streaming career. I don't really call it a career because my real career is a customer service manager. You know what I mean? So, but would I want it to be a career? Yeah, absolutely. But I want it to be a career. I'm learning more and more as a caster versus as a PUBG Mobile player, because myself as a player, I can provide funny content, but I'm not breaking I'm not setting the world on fire with my
exactly
with my gameplay here. So I definitely know where you're coming from on that as far as, orgs, when you switch games, you can't build anything. You can't build a foundation and really a name for yourself or, anything at all, really. You're just going to be kind of just you're going to be gone with the wind here, essentially. It's not going to stick around.
Exactly. And even when you look at, like, communities, at the end of the day, like, games and esports, it all starts with the community. So as an org, if you can, overall as an org generally, if you can get within a community of a game, even if that esports, okay, there has to be an esport aspect, but if it has a strong esports aspect, but even if your team isn't doing that well, if as an org you get in that community and you support that community by developing a team and developing players and helping them with content creation, helping them with assets and tips and all that jazz, 110% you're going to benefit financially, because you're going to have that community that will go out and turn around and buy that org's jersey and buy that org's merch and share that org's posts on social media, which in turn gives a better engagement for that org, which in turn attracts more sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that, like.
Right.
Whereas you might find a quick burst or a quick flurry of followers or a quick flurry of support, but in long term that's not doing anything, because one, those likes are going to go downhill, two, that reputation is going to go downhill, and three, you're going to end up with, I wouldn't say nothing, but it's going to be more shallow in my eyes.
All right, here's let's jump back into some of the knowledge that you have as a caster for PUBG Mobile, especially in EU. I don't mean to put you point blank, but let's go top three EU teams right now. Who are they
right now? Is this including the CIS region?
Sure.
Right now, easily, Unique. Man.
So it's because you came up with them like that. Is that your number one team right now?
Right now it's got to be Unique. Team Unique is 10 out of 10 best team in whole Europe. Overall, most dangerous looking team. Most dangerous team. I would say Unique.
What about Unique? What about Unique? Let's stay with them for a minute. We'll come back to the other two. Let you rack your brain. Okay. What about Unique makes them so special? What about their gameplay? Do you think that it's? I mean, obviously it's going to be an overall effect, but what do you think really makes them shine as a team?
Aggression.
Okay. Aggression.
They're not afraid to take on a team fight. They're not afraid to take on a team fight. They're not afraid to go into, like I said, they're not afraid to run through a team with their guns rather than go around a team. They also are very intelligent with how they play the game in general, and they position themselves in areas where they can be aggressive, and they have individual players that are incredibly intelligent at the game and know how to play the game 110%. But it's that extra level of aggression that gets some kills, that gets some chicken dinners, and get some results.
I mean, that's
at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough to play this game passive, but you do see teams have fair success being passive, but for the most part, those top teams are what you just described. It's aggression. It's being able to being able to take a fight and know that you can win the fight.
Exactly.
Because you doubt yourself for a second, it's over.
Exactly, and they're also one of the few teams that, from what I've seen, have more than one drop spot in maps, and that's a huge aspect.
We were just talking about that. Yeah, we were just talking about that.
I could go down that path, and look, I can give that opinion on 110%, but they're, as a team, and that makes them flexible. When it makes you flexible, it makes them harder to read, harder to predict, and makes them more dangerous as a team.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, 100%. I think, like I said, we were just talking about that, and when I say that, I mean me and a buddy of mine were just literally having that conversation, because you see it in a lot of Tier 1, whether you're in any region in the world, a lot of Tier 1 teams, they have a single spot that they drop, that they master, and they know whatever the circle does, I can rotate from here, and I know every which position to rotate to.
Yeah.
The problem with that is now every single other team knows exactly where you're going to drop and exactly where you're going to rotate to.
Exactly.
There's no unpredictability at all.
Exactly. 110%. And now, do they have their weaknesses? Yeah, of course, 100%. Every team does. No team is perfect, but there's a certain level of just dynamics, and they're every single player brings a huge level of strength to the team overall, and and that in turn makes them dangerous.
Absolutely.
110%.
Absolutely.
Second team would be footballists.
Yeah,
footballists. They are very close behind Unique, as the best team in Europe, right now at least. Similar opinion, similar situation with them is that they have, and it's funny because in Erangel they have the same main drop spot as Unique. They'll land in Novo, and those two teams will fight out. It's brilliant, but similar thing. They're not afraid to push through a team. Mm-hmm. They have a great balance of mechanical skill and aggression mixed with rotations, and the way they put themselves in a strong position where they're not afraid to 2-2 split when it might not always be the most intelligent way to go, but they are dangerous individually, and as a team they are dynamic, diverse, and they get the job done.
You know,
110%.
That's part of, you know, having faith in your team, especially like you said, dropping a 2-2 split, having faith in your teammates that you're going to get to that next waypoint, if you'd call it, you know, that next checkpoint as a team. You're all going to get there because you know, and you have faith in each other's ability as a team. And that's, I think, again, going back to the previous conversation, what sets PUBG Mobile and other team sports or team esports like this apart from Fortnite is that ability to, you know, strategize and trust your team and have that team aspect to it. It's huge for PUBG Mobile.
Definitely. The third team right now would be 1218. Team 1218 in my eyes. There's a couple of, even though they didn't qualify for the World League, mm-hmm. and even though they fell short, I would put them as third place overall right now. The reason why is because they are consistent.
It's a big part of PUBG Mobile.
Consistent.
Let's stop right there for 1 second. You just said consistent, right? And so I want to know your take on this, you know, debate, you can call it, in the PUBG Mobile community, or at least some believe this, some don't. Kills versus placement, right? Aggression, obviously, you have to be aggressive to be able to get to the end, to be able to get that chicken dinner. But there are players who believe in kills over everything, and players who believe that kills should carry more of a weight in big tournaments versus placement points. In my opinion, you know, the game itself, the whole point of PUBG Mobile, the entire point of the game when it was conceptualized was to get the chicken dinner. So getting as close to that as possible is making you as successful as possible in the game, right? You would think.
Yeah.
But so, yes, kills matter in getting to that point, but I still think that placement and being consistent and being in the top, you know, 1, 2, 3 is more important than being a 6th, 7th, 8th place team with 10 kills on the board.
I disagree.
Okay.
At least right now, from the esports point of view, the reason why is because I'm going to slightly disagree with you there. The reason why is because overall one follows the other. So there's no point in playing for placement if you're 80 minutes into the game, okay, you've got let's say 1 kill, okay, and there's still 15 or 14 other teams in the lobby. The reason why is because somebody's gonna go down.
Right.
Somebody, and unless you have the circle gods on you and you're dead center in the circle, but even then, that's not a guarantee. You have to move out of your position, and the second you move out of your position, you're surrounded by 6, 7, 8 other teams, and if you're not able to frag your way out of that, you're dead. You're a goner, and your team finishes in 14th with 1 kill. Wait.
Okay.
So going along the way, it's always a balance. It's always a balance.
There's a balance, yeah.
But it's also a ripple effect. So if you take out 4 to 6 players in the mid part of the game, I'm not going to say early part of the game, but mid part of the game, let's say phase 2, okay, going on to phase 3, not only are you adding more points to your team competitively and in the standings for that individual game, you're also taking bodies out of the game. When you take bodies out of the game, you create more space for yourself.
That's true.
When you create more space for yourself, you make it easier for you to rotate as a team. When you make it easier for you to rotate as a team, you make it easier for you to make clean and clear decisions as a team. Yeah. When you make it easier for you to make clean and clear decisions for the game, make it easier to get more kills. When you get more kills, not only do you get more points, but you get a better placing point.
It's true.
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Whereas teams will like I said, some teams will play passive, too passive, but there's also something to be said for a team that will, in phase 2, phase 3, they have a position inside the circle that's like deadly. We don't have to move. They come across another team, okay, that's in a compound across the road. They will kind of engage on them. They'll tickle each other, right? They'll get a knockdown each. That's all well and good. You're 6 minutes down the road, okay? The blue zone's about to close in, and the next phase is about to pop up. The only person you've hurt is yourself.
Right.
As a team. The reason why is because in that time of you fighting with that one team, not only have you been narrow-minded to the point where you're only looking at that other team, you haven't thought about your position in the next circle.
True. Yep.
You haven't thought about how you're going to rotate on the next phase. Plus, you're allowing teams to rotate past you, around you, and put you under more pressure on the next phase.
Yeah.
Okay? And so many teams do that. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, okay, that's great. But who are you benefiting? Right. Nobody.
Yeah, if you take out that team that's across from you, I can see where you're coming from, because then you take them out. You now know that nobody's in that compound. You can see that compound. You know if somebody else comes there, and you have a free path at least around that compound to get to the next zone. I completely understand where you're coming from. I agree with you. I still think that kills should be used to aid placement, and placement should still be the overall goal. But, of course, kills should matter, because you need them to get that placement. If you don't get any kills, you're going to get to the final circle and have 50 teams just in a gunfight, which I get where you're going on that.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure that it should be. And yes, Hawk, in the chat, it is Imperium.
But right now, the point system benefits kills more than placement. The reason why is because if you don't finish in the top 3, okay, so right now it's 20 points for first, it's 14 for second, and it's 10 for third. If you don't finish in the top 3, you're without kills. You're not getting above 10 points. And overall, as a team, and this is where consistency comes into it, you want to average between 10 to 12 points per game to really get anywhere in a tournament.
Right.
Minimum.
Comes back to
10
consistency.
12 points per game.
Right.
Because it comes back to consistency. So if you finish, and this is why I initially said I disagree with you, because if you finish 6, 7, 8, which is what like 4, 5, 6 points, give or take, okay, and you get
10
6,
kills.
8, 10 points, that's double digits.
Right.
Baby. That's it. You're sitting pretty. You might not look the best, but when it comes to that individual game, you're great.
You're good to go.
Now, the other aspect of that is, and also it also comes down to control. Okay, so as a team, when you put the game in your control by getting more kills, it's better for your mentality. You're putting the game in your control. Whereas if you go for late game placement, you're putting your result in the palm of everybody else's hands.
It's true.
Your result is dictated by other teams' performances overall. Whereas when you go for an engagement, when you go for kills, you're putting that result in your control. Don't get me wrong, I am intelligent as it comes, and I will do my best to understand rotations. And I will compliment the team's rotation so much overall over an engagement.
Yep.
But gotta be able to get the kill.
You've honestly been one of the first people that's given me a logical argument to the other side of it. And that in itself is what makes you good as a caster. Because having a level head enough to be able to not only tell me when I'm wrong, but tell me why, it's huge as somebody that has the ability to cast a game and dictate how the audience is feeling about that game. Because you've slightly swayed me.
Yeah, look, you know, and that's the biggest aspect. Now, outside of the control aspect, you also look at the mentality of the game. So the biggest difference when it comes to, and this is why I say it doesn't necessarily matter about NAEU, but the biggest difference between 95% of the teams in the top level of any game, but PUBG Mobile specifically, is mentality.
Yeah.
Mentality. Situation, heat of the moment, mentality, biggest aspect of competitive gaming.
Yeah.
Fact. Because if you're not mentally prepared in that moment and in that game, okay, you can be the best fragger in the world.
Right.
If you're not mentally prepared as a player and as a team, you're gonna 9 times out of 10 you're gonna lose that team fight.
You know, your
head isn't in the right space. But that also comes down to results.
Yeah.
Okay. So if your team that is inconsistent, okay, your mentality is going to be all over the place. Higher chance, because you're going from a chicken dinner. You're going from the high of the high to the low of the low of 16th place in game 2,
right,
or 11th place in game 2. What's that doing to your mentality? What's that doing to your screwing you? Because you start doubting yourself more. When you start doubting yourself more, you don't get as good results. When you don't get as good results, same mentality. Whereas as a team, if you finish 4th and 5th consistently with 6, 7 kills, and you're constantly in the top 5,
you're gonna feel good.
There's a higher chance, that mentality, you are way more confident of getting the job done. Not only as a chicken dinner, but as a good result.
Yeah, absolutely. You know that when you said that earlier, you know, it kind of triggered in my head because, you know, just from my own experience playing the game as a call me a noob compared to the people that we watch, you know.
Yeah.
When I get a kill, you know, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get another one. Like, I'm excited. I'm ready to get another kill. You know, where's the rest of this team? Let's go take them out. You know.
Exactly.
I can definitely see how that would be even more escalated on the pro level.
Exactly. Yeah. And even because and it's true, because I actually, you know, for laugh with some friends as a bit of fun, we played some scrims.
What was the real quick? What was the real quick sidebar? We'll come back to your scrim story. What was the tattoo on your arm?
Which one? This one?
That one. Yeah. What is that?
Oh, it's okay. So you know the band Pink Floyd?
Yeah.
So my favorite song, one of my favorite songs of Pink Floyd is the song "Wish You Were Here."
Yep.
My favorite lyric of that is "We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year." And when I was younger, my dad would always play Pink Floyd when we were going places. If I was going with him to work, and if we were going places, always play Pink Floyd, amongst other bands, but mainly Pink Floyd. And a lot of my fantastic memories is with my dad in cars, traveling places, etc. So basically, this tattoo symbolizes the band and the relationship I have with my dad. So you have the CD there. Okay.
Yep.
And the CD is blue, which symbolizes fish tank and the water. And the fish symbolizes the lyric, we're just two lost souls swimming in a fish bowl. And the hand holding the CD symbolizes the connection I have with my dad over Pink Floyd and music and those memories. And then obviously the bottom part is the Dark Side of the Moon album cover in the background.
I see. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
That's what the tattoo.
That is. You normally ask for a tattoo, like, hey, what does that mean? You get a decent story most of the time, but that was fantastic, sir. That was it actually brought me back because I have very good memories and fond memories of driving to soccer matches with my dad and just cranking music and enjoying the drive and having fun. It's
exactly
that one hit home for me a little bit, actually. That one hit home for me a little bit.
Yeah, man. My dad's my best friend, so it was easy to get. So my first tattoo in memory of him, well, not in memory because he's still alive, bless. Jeez, that sounded so bad. In memory of him, but in theory, in memory of him because it reminds me of him and it reminds me of our friendship and our relationship. So yeah,
that's awesome.
So it's cool. It's cool. But
going back to the scrim. You were in a scrim with your friends the other day.
Yeah, and literally last night, and I because part of the reason why I did is because it's a bit fun, but another part of the reason is because when I cast, I do my best to understand the player's mentality, and I do my best to understand the player's emotion and the situation and express that in the broadcast in the best possible way. And when I played scrims, one of the biggest things that I found that was different to, let's say, how I play in a classic was driving. I was way more nervous rotating in a vehicle in scrims because the teams are there around you, and you might not know where they are, so that if you go close to a team,
you're gonna get sprayed.
You're gonna get sprayed, and that really kind of set my mind in motion. And go, this was only like a tier 3 scrim with a couple of friends, but that made me think, shit, how are the better players feeling? What's the mindset around rotating? Do I need to maybe be a little bit more aware of the fact that these teams, and do I need to apply that kind of similar kind of mindset of what the players might be thinking on the rotating that might cause mistakes?
Yeah.
So that's helped me with my casting. That little bit of understanding hugely helps me in how I will cast and how I will express myself when casting in the future.
That's a crazy point because I have too drawn experience from playing in scrims. Again, I'm still a noob, but I've had my own clan. I played competitively. What's up, Fat Boy? How you doing? You're enjoying the interview? I'm glad. Thank you so much. Chat's been a little slow, but I'm assuming that people are just simply watching and enjoying our conversation. But playing in scrims myself, it's a different feeling. Like you said, it's a whole different mindset when you're playing, with a team and your objective is to be better than these other teams that are going to talk crap to you if you're not better than them. So you want to put on a good performance for everybody, especially the people watching on, the audience as well. You want to, all of that plays into it. And I know that as a professional player, as a T1 player, you don't think about people watching you play. You're there to win. You're there to be the best team. And so that doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. But as a human, subconsciously, that you're performing. That you are going into this
exactly,
and that you need to perform. And even as a caster, I'm flipping on my camera. I do scrims every week. I don't do any big tournaments right now. I've been doing scrims for over a year, though, and I enjoy it. But I know when I flip on my camera, when I hit that start streaming button, I'm hopefully bringing an energy to this game, which if I wasn't streaming it, nobody would be watching it, but I am making it something enjoyable for them to watch. And that part of the mentality as a streamer, that still hits in my head as a caster as well. It's just there that, you're there to provide depth to what's going on the screen.
Yeah, it's about, like, for me, like I touched upon kind of, I do my best to express how the team and bring that level of life to the broadcast. I've always been like an emotional caster, and I've always been very passionate about what I do, casting or otherwise, but especially with casting. So it's about like expressing. It's also about layering the broadcast as well, and that's something I learned quite early on after having my first big opportunity in PUBG Mobile in the PMCO last year, in the spring split. So like kind of to touch back on what I said about casting Vainglory and how that was actually very beneficial, because that gave me the hype experience. That gave me the heat of the moment thought process, and the taking a team fight and breaking that down as quickly as possible.
Right.
That aspect, that gave me that. But doing then PUBG Mobile and doing it on a competitive setting with a professional broadcast, from talking to people, that gave me then the layering aspect and the storytelling aspect. So yourself, PUBG Mobile is early game is always going to be give or take passive, especially in a more competitive setting, because teams aren't really fighting early on, bar every now and again, you'll have a couple of teams fighting or etc. You'll have some rotation depending on the circle, etc., etc.
Right.
But generally speaking, it's early game pacifists, right? So you want to make points in that early game that you can then touch upon late game. So whether it's where a team drops, whether it's how they will want to rotate, whether it is how the team generally plays and how they rotate, mentioning those in the early game, which might not mean anything in the moment, but 7 minutes down the line, they get engaged upon, or they get a fantastic position inside the circle. You can say, well, yeah, you saw early on, I mentioned about how they rotated,
right?
Where they were. The fact that they made that rotation, boom, they're in a fantastic position,
right,
inside the circle. Or you can go, well, yeah, I touched upon earlier on in the game of how it's going to be dangerous, how they're going to rotate. They didn't rotate in the right way. They got engaged upon. They got caught out. Boom, they went down.
Absolutely.
And it's about bringing that layering on, so that you're setting a team up, you're setting a broadcast up in the early game, so that the late game, it all
fall into place.
That arc. It falls into place, and that arc comes into play. And even if that means me making a mistake, even as a caster, it's me making a call that doesn't work out, that's part of it.
Right.
Because you're not always going to be right. So me saying, hey, look, this team, like, for example, like, I will always say never be in a city compound past phase 3 or 4. Always. Never. Because very rarely it will end up in that city, and if it does, or and if it doesn't end in that city, you're going to be pretty much screwed, because
you're coming out of the city.
You're coming out of the city and disengaging away from the city late game.
Right.
So I will make that call, but if a team proves me wrong and makes it fantastic, I will turn around and say, yeah, totally prove me wrong. They played the disengagement out of that city perfectly, shut down teams, etc. And because I will touch upon the fact that I said, don't go out of the city, or don't go into the city. But I will then use that to say, hey, I was wrong. They proved me right.
Yeah, takes that also is an aspect of casting, of streaming, of you have to have the humility to be able to come back and say, I was definitely wrong on that one, but look what happened. And and that is something that I definitely learned early on. Surprisingly enough, the adult flag football scene in America is much more competitive than you would think, and definitely as brutal as the esports community as far as toxicity.
Okay.
So you got to learn that humility early on for sure. I want to thank you for coming on and doing this interview with me. It's been fantastic. Do you have any questions for me in particular? And other than that, I do want to hear about your future endeavors with PUBG Mobile, what you have coming up, what we can expect, and what's next for Imperium.
what I have coming up next, there's nothing from a casting point of view, from a pure casting point of view. I don't know, and that can always be the case with a caster because you don't know unless you're, let's say, signed to Riot. You don't really know what's coming up next because you're freelance. Something could come up like that. You could know. I don't really know. I am working with some organizations to bring out some content and working with multiple orgs to bring out some content that helps both the org and myself. It's nothing that I'm officially affiliated with orgs, but it's exploring that aspect of my personality and putting that to content for the organization that benefits both of us. I'm doing that with multiple orgs, Red Reserve, Unicorns of Love, etc. From a streaming point of view, I'm going to be doing more streaming. I'm going to be doing some more scrims, but other than that, nothing directly for me right now. It's an open world, and I absolutely love it. Question for you: what do you want to do? What do you want to do from a casting point of view? What's your goal?
So this has been a question that's been posed to me recently. The sponsor of the tournament that I'm hosting is Guerrilla Gaming. They're sponsoring the $1,000 prize pool that we're putting on for a lot of T1 NA teams, a couple of T1 EU teams. Thank you very much for your recommendations there. But after this, me and that sponsor, Guerrilla Gaming, we're discussing a couple of different options at this point. I think my goal is to ultimately cast. I would love to cast other games as well eventually, but cementing myself as an actual caster for PUBG Mobile, I think is on my goal list at the moment. And whether that's going to be in the pro scene, which, of course, everyone wants to be on the big stage. It's always that little hope and dream that you're going to get there one day.
Of course.
But a smaller scale goal, is to start a community for, tournaments, for scrims, and be able to be the, main caster for those, along with my partner Guerrilla Gaming, and just we're looking at some setting up some T2 opportunities for EU and NA. I've learned that I can host EU server matches without wrecking my streams, so I'm gonna look to do some of those as well, and expand our reach as a partnership, I guess, between me and Guerrilla Gaming, and go from there. But ultimately, to be a caster, and it's obviously, would it be my dream to quit my job and be a caster full time for esports? And of course, because who the hell doesn't love sitting talking about what they love and making money from it? Obviously.
Oh, trust me. I know that, and yeah.
It humbles you, because when you do have success in something that you love, you're like, coming up, you dreamed of that moment to when you can say, I do this for a living and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, of course. It's right now it's the greatest feeling I've had in this world. And here's the thing, I don't know how long it's gonna last for. I really don't. But I'm gonna damn well enjoy it while I have it and while I can say it. And that's coming from at one point being close to being homeless, because I went chasing that dream of casting full time. My own mistakes were made, 100%, that led to that potential. But in part of chasing that dream, there was a point where I could have ended up being homeless. But all went well, all was successful. It's cool. But so to be able to now, at this point in my life and at this point in my career, be able to turn around and say, I'm a full-time caster and that's what I can do and that's what I can say, it's man, nothing beats it.
That's obviously my goal, is to get to that point one day. Now, granted, I've built myself a decent security blanket with my day job, and I have a nice home, and I have a lovely wife, and I have people to provide for. So I have to find the balance, just to 95% of the streamers out there have to do. You have to find that balance until you do get to that point where maybe one day you could call it a career. That's that's my path at the moment, is to just keep grinding, and we'll see what happens. I'm very new to the Twitch community, so a lot of my audience is Facebook loyal, and so I have not found the same success that I had on Facebook yet. But I am hoping, at least with this tournament that's coming up, to show the community in a whole what I can do as a caster, and how I can portray a broadcast, because I have shown it to my community, the people that watch me every week. They know what I can do. They come back every week. So I know I can hold an audience, and I'm hoping to show that I can put on a good show. Granted, I don't have necessarily the best graphics out there, the best, this, the best that, but I do most of everything myself as far as my graphics are concerned, and so I do take pride in it somewhat. And down the line, I will be looking to partner with some people to help me up my game when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Because live editing of stuff, when you see like PMCO and you see the way that they are coming with the live animated effects for scores, for to highlight players, to highlight teams, and they have all of this stuff that's just coming at you, and it's a professional broadcast, that doesn't just happen.
True, but here's the thing, and look, if you want some advice on it,
sure,
if you want to be a caster, and if being a full-time caster is your goal or aim, you shouldn't be worrying about streaming. Okay. In my eyes, from a casting point of view.
Interesting.
The reason why is because when you want to be a caster, okay, and you're streaming and you're looking at graphics and you're organizing tournaments, okay, you're in theory giving yourself a platform to cast, but what focus are you really putting on your casting? Really, what focus are you putting on your casting?
That's a really good point.
What focus are you putting on your casting? You're putting a certain focus based on you streaming it and in that moment. But what are you, when that's done, when that broadcast is done, what focus are you putting on your casting? Not that much,
right?
Because you're worrying about graphics. You're worrying about when the next stream is. You're worrying about when the next event is. You're not putting that focus in. Now, that doesn't mean you won't get to the point of being a full-time caster, but you got to think, well, am I aiding in myself getting to that point a little bit quicker or a little bit easier? Whereas and again, I can only draw my own experience,
of course,
right? But what I did was I casted scrims that other people were hosting, because that put me onto more communities. That got me experience where I didn't have to turn around and worry about the hosting. I didn't have to worry about the stream. I just focused on my casting. And when I focus on my casting, I can look back on my casting and I go, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do? Outside of working. But my point is that when it comes to, I could focus on my casting.
How do you as a caster, because this has been one of my struggles as a caster, when I'm casting somebody else's event, because I've done it. I've had somebody else controlling the camera, controlling the stream, doing all of that, and all I'm doing is just talking about what I see on my screen, which is, as a caster, that's what you should be doing. You should see what is going on your screen. Whoever's doing whatever they're doing is fine. What they're showing you is what you're commenting on, because that's what the viewer is seeing. As a caster, do you ever find it troubling to not have the phone in your hand controlling what you're looking at yourself?
No, I prefer not controlling what I'm looking at.
Interesting.
Of course, because like I said, I'm able to focus on my casting when somebody else is doing the camera work. Now, of course, there's a difference, right, in terms of, obviously, if it's a professional broadcast like PMCO,
different story.
ESL, always a different story because there's multiple observers,
Yeah.
multiple camera angles, etc.
Right.
But when but that doesn't take away from the fact that, like I said, when you can focus on your own casting more, you are going to benefit from that more. So when you're casting with, and by the way, if you're doing somebody else's scrims, 9 times out of 10 you're casting with somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's another aspect. Have you casted with other people?
Yes. Yeah, all the time.
Well, who else have you casted with? On a side note,
nobody of like big notoriety. But when I was coming up in Facebook land with PUBG Mobile, my whole stream was with a partner in my house.
Okay.
And so we would literally cast together.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, and
okay.
so and then also with
okay.
DN1 Gaming, who is up and coming with their casting, their streaming as well.
Okay.
I was with them for the first quarter of this year, where I literally did nothing but host and stream and cast on their page, and I was doing nothing but scrims with them. And most of the time, it would be at least 2, if not 3 of us on camera talking and broadcasting. And so I definitely have that experience of hosting with other people down.
Okay.
Hi, Adam.
Look, like I said, it comes down to if you want to be a caster, I would always recommend focus on casting.
Okay.
Focus on casting.
It's good advice.
Because like I said, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get there as a caster by hosting events and doing tournaments and stuff like that. That doesn't, but you're gaining less out of it. Like, for example, even as recently as doing the scrims for Pro EU, yeah, I was streaming them, but I didn't have to worry about room codes. I didn't have to worry about team showing up. I just got the room code, joined the lobby, streamed, and cast it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could look back on that and go, how well did I cast?
Right.
How well did I do? Now, controlling the camera was an aspect of that, but at the end of the day, I could still focus more on my
casting. And I'm starting to get there, especially with my scrims. I have an amazing mod community, if you call it that, and that is doing most of this stuff for me. Now, lately, I've been setting up the rooms because I've been, testing out my 2-camera work and being able to have both sides of a fight. So, but I definitely see what you mean, because when I don't have to worry about the teams, I just show up and do my thing, I typically feel like I'm at a better place and able to cast better. So I know what you mean, definitely, and I will take that advice to heart and see what I can do to start getting into some more casting opportunities where I don't have to worry about any of that. And
exactly.
And I think hopefully this tournament and being able to show what I can do, put it on video, and then give it to people to show them, like, here's a sample of who I am as a caster, I think is going to really help me.
It will, but you also got to look at your brand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, for example, when I first got any kind of sniff of an idea that I wanted to explore casting more and I wanted to do more casting, first thing I thought about was my brand.
Mm-hmm.
I never, ever branded myself as anything other than a caster.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. That was it. I branded myself as a caster. Because that's what I wanted to show other people. That's what I wanted to say to other people. That's what I wanted other people to look at me as, a caster. Outside of communities I was involved in. But even within communities I was involved in, I wanted people to look at me as, hey, this guy IMPERIUM, he plays a game, but he's a caster.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was my biggest thing. So you got to look at your brand, and you got to look at what you want to say to other people that happen to look at your page, or something that you happen to be tagged in. You got to look, okay, well, how do I want to be seen? Mm-hmm. That's a huge aspect, especially in the world of social media, especially in the digital age. You got to look at what your brand is saying about you.
Absolutely.
And that's why I had no problem getting a logo made. That's why I had no problem spending money on graphics, because it looks more professional to people. It makes me look way more professional than what I am. It sells, because at the end of the day, you're always selling yourself. You're always selling yourself in every aspect of a life. You're pretty much always selling yourself.
Absolutely.
You're going for a job interview, you're selling yourself. You're looking to get a casting, you're selling yourself.
Right.
Hell, you're trying to make friends.
Yeah, you're selling
yourself.
Exactly. Yep.
Same thing. Doesn't mean you have to be fake about it, but if you give off a more polished version of yourself, or a smarter version of yourself, that's going to help you 100%.
Absolutely.
So you also got to look at your brand.
Interesting. You've given me a lot to think about, and obviously I wouldn't have had you on here if I don't look up to you for your casting, because I think that you're a fantastic caster. So I am going to take all of this and do some thinking and some soul searching here, because you've given me a lot to think about. I thought I was interviewing you, not getting a therapy session on my career here. But because I do have a logo that I had somebody make for me that I really do. I back 100%. I love my logo, and I think that I've affiliated my logo with my name, with my channel name, Ballin's Got Game, instead of Ballin, which it really should just be Ballin, because that's who I am. I'm Ballin, and ultimately I'm gonna have to start really focusing on getting people to know me as I'm Ballin and I'm a caster.
So call yourself Ballin Cass.
A rebrand completely, huh? I'm all for it. I'm all for it, and I'll be hitting you up in your DMs with more questions.
100%.
Well, let's go ahead and end it out. We've been going at this for almost 2 hours. I really
has it really been 2 hours?
Almost, yeah.
Jesus, man.
Time flies, man. Especially, like I said, when we started this, I told you, even before we got on camera, we're just having a conversation, and that's all I was looking to do. And I think we succeeded in having a great conversation. So I certainly appreciate you coming on board and doing this with me. Other than your Twitch and your Twitter that I have down below you, is there any other way that you want people to be able to reach you?
100% reach me on Discord if you want. So that's Imperium, the way it's spelled, capital I, lowercase m, capital P, capital E, capital R, IUM. #1972 if you 100% want to add me on Discord. I'm also on Instagram at the same thing. The one actual thing I'd love to request is my YouTube channel. So I'm trying to get to 100 subs so I can give myself a custom URL. That's the only thing I'm kind of like looking for. Okay. So just search me up on YouTube.
Let's do this real quick. Let's do this real quick.
Okay.
Let's do this real quick. Imperium.
It's yeah.
Okay. What? How do I? What?
Probably it's VG Imperium. So VG space Imperium.
Let's see here. This one right here. All right. So we're gonna take that. We're gonna put it in the chat for everybody. Go hit up Imperium on YouTube. Like he said, he's trying to get to 100 subscribers, and
actually, it's not something I normally like do, as in like I'm not one to like, let's say, like beg for likes or beg for follows, right? But just to be able to set myself a custom URL, that's the only thing.
Can you see my screen?
No, I can't.
You can't see my screen right now?
Nope.
Oh.
No, because when we lost connection and you called, you didn't turn your screen share on. But it's cool.
Now you can see my screen. Look at that number right there.
Whoa, okay. Well, then you don't need to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's fine. I did, because that's the thing. I don't, because, that's fine. You don't need to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's fine.
We just showed Imperium what his next little goal was, and he got 104, my guy.
Because I kind of put the call out on Instagram because, again, the only reason why, and I explained, because I it's not my kind of thing, like, it's on a side tangent, but like, for example, if I'm...
Oh, again? We're back. I don't know
Okay.
why Skype keeps cutting out like that. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Anyway, on a quick tangent, like if I'm ever doing any kind of giveaway, I would never do based off, you have to follow to be in with a chance of winning, because it's not what I'm like. People will follow me if they like what they see, from that point of view. But anyway, so that was my only thing with YouTube. So that's actually definitely a super cool surprise on stream to see that. So thank you very much, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll have to pull that clip and put that one on YouTube. I like that one. All right, guys, we're gonna end the stream. Imperium, again, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. You're a wonder to talk to, and hopefully, once I get this rebrand done, I'll bring you back on and we can talk about it a little bit more.
Definitely, would love to.
All right, man. If you are watching the stream right now, thank you so much for watching. I am going to be cutting up and using a lot of this VOD for a lot of different things, and we'll see Imperium's face a little bit more here on Twitter and all that good stuff. So again, thank you, Imperium. I hope you had a fun time, and we will see you guys next time. I think I'm back streaming on Monday. I might come back this weekend and have a surprise stream. Who knows? Figure out this whole casting thing and chat about it with my viewers. But thank you again, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.